Welcome to our Death Rituals series, a series dedicated to exploring how cultures around the world honor death, grief, and remembrance. From the vibrant altars of Dia de los Muertos to the quiet precision of traditional embalming, from indigenous mourning ceremonies to the inked memorials of modern tattooists. Each episode uncovers how humans give meaning to loss through ritual, through intimate conversations with those who tend to death, museum curators, artists, cultural leaders, and funeral professionals. We look at how ceremony, creativity, and community transform grief into connection. It's about the universal ways we celebrate, remember, and carry forward the lives of those who came before us. Revealing how we face death says everything about how we choose to live.
Our guest today is award-winning tattoo artist Paul Cutler, who founded Bubblegum Ink, a private tattoo studio in Cheshire, UK, known internationally for its work creating personalized memorial tattoos, including ashes-infused tattoos, that incorporate cremated remains into tattoo ink. The studio welcomes clients from around the world who want meaningful tattoos that honor loved ones through handwriting, symbols, or deeply personal designs. Paul has nearly 3 decades of experience in the tattoo industry. Through Bubblegum Ink, Paul has become widely recognized for combining technical precision with a compassionate approach, helping clients create tattoos that celebrate the lives and memories of those they've lost. Enjoy.
Paul Cutler of Bubblegum Ink. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so looking forward to talking with you about your profession as a tattoo artist and the really special work that you do in what you call ashes tattoos, where you take the cremated ashes of a loved one and you have come up with a specialized process, which you'll tell us about, for the ink and to make sure that it is safe for human use and that it actually gets used in the tattoo. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this. I think it's a very special way to memorialize a loved one, and you have been so thoughtful in the many years that you've been doing this in how you approach it. And we're going to get into all of this. So just thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
I always like to start hearing a little bit about where you grew up and what kind of kid you were.
Growing up, I was I grew up on a very rough estate in England. And I was even a wheeler dealer at about the age of 7. So I'd go to the allotment with a wheelbarrow and then go and ask go and ask the old man if I could have a cabbage or something. And then he'd give me a cabbage full of like caterpillars and all sorts of stuff. And then I'd go and knock on the the local old girls and ask them if they wanted to buy a cabbage, whatever it took really. We didn't have much money, so at the age of 7, I was a cabbage salesman.
That's amazing. That's a new one. I haven't heard that before.
You said be honest, so I'm being honest.
It's perfect. And do you have siblings?
I did a twin and a sister.
A twin?
And, yeah, he's the ugly version of me. And then as I grew up, I've always got involved in stuff and I ended up, what should I say? Well, really, I ended up running raves of all things. Big techno raves and stuff like that. I'm old, so you call it EDM now and stuff like that. But at the time, it was like 2,000 capacity raves and stuff like that. And then as that kind of faded off, I then moved into body piercing. And I got into body piercing. We were that early into body piercing. I remember when we opened the first studio, we had a thing on the wall with belly button bars on. And I was saying and they were like, what's that for? And you go, stick it in your belly button. And they're like, why would you do that? And I'm like, trust me, it's going to be massive. But that, honestly, it's dead good to make your belly button look beautiful. And people just didn't have a clue. And then all of a sudden, it just exploded everywhere. And it was what it was at the time.
Yeah. So tell us how you got into becoming a tattoo artist.
There you go. That's what it is. Because what I used to do is I used to go around the country and train people how to do body piercing. Train tattoo studios so they could have their own body piercing and stuff like that. I ended up in a tattoo studio and I remember having a conversation with a guy and I was saying to him, what I do is really hard. What you do is dead easy. You just kind of get a pen and draw and shake your hand about. It's not that much. And so, unbeknownst to me, he set a friend up downstairs with a tattoo design on the back and went, go on, go do it then. And yeah, really confident as you do. Yeah, dead easy. Went downstairs, picked the tattoo machine up, and I didn't even know how old the tattoo machine. And then got involved. I was looking like out the corner of my eye, looking at this other tattooist, thinking, he does that, right, okay, do that, okay, do that. And basically copied the guy, finished his tattoo. And he just sat there gobsmacked. And he said, have you ever thought of being a tattooist? And I used to dabble in oil painting and stuff like that. So I had a bit of an arty thing going on anyway. Quite like the connection with, I like the connection with people, because body piercing's very in, out the door, this, that, and the other. And whereas tattooing, you actually really get to interact with the person and you get to know the person. And as a social person myself, it just fitted really well with what I wanted to do. So I ended up in Spain. I had a couple of studios in Spain, and I won some awards over in your neck of the woods in America, won some tattoo awards over there. And yeah, I ended up, settling a studio down in a place in Cheshire, and we went from there, really.
And how did you then get into ashes tattoos?
A client came in very simply and just said, could I do it? And and even to this day, the gentleman taught me to tattoo I'm really good friends with. So I contacted him and said, there's a client coming for an ashes tattoo. The granddad's passed away. It's a brother and sister, and they want a tattoo. So what do you think? How should I go forward with it? And he said, just put it in the pot. I said, but logically, I'm not going to be daft here, but isn't it all just going to go to the bottom? And really, as a tattooist, we don't go near the bottom because it'd blunt us needles off. So you can look at 1,000 YouTube videos and you'll always see that they'll pull the ink off the top. We don't go near the bottom, like I say, it'll blunt the needles. And he went, yeah, it's just, it makes them feel connected and this kind of stuff, and it's good for them and blah, 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 blah. And I was a bit like, they're not really, they're not after, like, how could I put it? A token gesture.
Right.
So it just so happened very close to us, we got a really big pharmaceutical company. And I used to tattoo a lot of the research and developers and stuff like that. And I got talking to them about it. And they were like, do you want to give us it and let's see how far we can go with it? So literally they came back 6 months later and they'd worked all the protocols out, everything applicable really. The only difference is, as well as their input, we had to really start to specialize in creating his own inks and stuff like that. And it just so happened my mentor used to make his own ink, so we had all the connections in Germany and stuff like that for all the really high quality stuff. So the combination kind of came back together. Yeah, so we did the tattoo, and there wasn't a problem in the slightest. They loved it, and then it just went massive.
So these people, the brother and sister, were willing to wait for 6 months while you finalized this process. Okay.
Yeah.
And then tell us a little bit, you were telling me about the process. So somebody comes in, they want an ashes tattoo. How long does it take for you've now created your own ink, so that's already done, but you need I think an hour or so to add the ashes in?
Yeah, it takes about an hour because we need to get all the ashes reduced down. As I say, because we make our own tattooing pigment, which we have to do, because the combination, it's all worked in a very particular way. Because if we stuck half ashes into a pot and then stuck half normal tattooing pigment in, it just turned into mud. You couldn't use it. So we have to have it really low viscosity, and we know what the molecular size is of the tattooing pigment because we make it, obviously. And then what we do is then work on the ashes to reduce them down to the same molecular size, and then go through the process of cleaning them, getting all the contaminants out of them, everything applicable to that. Understandably, there's no kind of, I don't know what the word would be, ongoing thing of sterility after that. So there is an ongoing belief that if everybody's heated up and the process as it stands takes you to a certain temperature, that everything's going to be clean, there's going to be no bacteria out of it and everything. without going into too many gory details, that could obviously, there's stuff that's left that is when you actually go through the process of cremation, certain body parts that are left. And on that basis, they'll obviously get what's it called put in and reduced and stuff like that. Not by me, by the actual funeral, by the actual cremation home. And they'll bring it down. They'll bring it down to a certain molecular size. But obviously, it's still got all the contaminants in. It's got everything going on. So is a good example. You don't usually get it when you're working with animals too much. The filters, they'll collect a really small amount of chemicals, environmental, medicinal and stuff like that. But when you're dealing with cancer patients and stuff like that, sometimes there's the need to actually reprocess them again because the filter's already completely full. And because we need to make sure that everything that's in there is completely inert. So when we put it into you, your body sees no aspect of why it would need to reject it. And this is encapsulation. This is to a normal tattoo, as well as an actual ashes tattoo. And that encapsulation is near enough your white blood cells going, it's covering everything over and saying, right, lads, there's no more signals needed. Don't bother coming removing this. It's safe. It's organic. We're happy with it. So the process that we use, it goes down to such a molecular size so that as your white blood cells come along, they don't just encapsulate the actual tattooing pigment, they encapsulate the tattooing pigment and the ashes because they're both mixed together. And they're that microscopic that your white blood cells just encapsulate the whole thing. So that way, when we do an ashes tattoo, when you look at the tattoo, literally when you look at that tattoo, that your loved one's with you. And let's talk quite honestly, there's people being dug up out of bogs and stuff. Bear with me, this sounds like I'm being a bit mental, but I'm not. There's people getting dug up 2,500 years later in England out of peat bogs, and they've still got tattoos on them. So on that basic premise, I find it quite humbling, but what we do means you literally take that person with you for the rest of your life. Or it could be your pet.
And I think it's important for listeners to understand that there are a lot of people who claim to do ashes tattoos, but what they do is basically add the ashes, they fall to the bottom, and they're really not part of the tattoo. So your process not only ensures that it's safe for humans to go into your body, but also that the ashes are actually part of the tattoo, so you actually are carrying your loved one around with you, which is, of course, the intention of anyone who comes in and wants this done.
But it's like anything. I'll give you a good example if we can look at this on a really simple basis. So if you take aside the concept of it being what's called, let's just do straight normal tattooing pigment. If you were to get normal tattooing pigment, like we've already covered, you can't stick half and half in. But even if you just put a bit into the bottom, them ash molecules are loads bigger than the tattooing pigment molecule. So the first thing they'll do is go sink obviously straight to the bottom. So we could all sit there and say, oh, what we do special is isn't all. The molecules are way too big. On top of that, and this is where the negative aspects of it come along as well, concerning your health. Obviously, there's a wicking effect. So if you put something in, if the molecules are midline size and the bigger molecules go to the bottom, the smaller molecules are going to go to the top.
So a couple things. One is that I know that people travel from very long distances to come see you to have ashes tattoos done. I also know that you have now made available this special ink so that other people can use it in the United States or I think anywhere. So tell us about that.
We were getting that many clients coming into the shop for ashes tattoos from all over the country. I used to shut the shop because I find it's a very personal thing. So we used to shut the shop, but then the shop was never open. And then a couple of times we've exploded in the media. We've been all over the place. We even had CNN ask if they could come over. What? No, that's too. I'm quite happy looking at your beautiful face, Ashley, but that one just had me. They didn't work. They were after, what would be the word? They were after the sensationalism of it. And that isn't what I'm about. I'm very humble about what I do. I've been doing this 18, if not probably coming on to 20 years now. And it just didn't work for me. I'm touch wood. I'm very fortunate to have a really beautiful home. So I set a really big dedicated studio up at home. And then what we did is we split kind of the business model up. So I semi-retired and worked on the basis of what I do now. And because half the world wanted to know how we did it, we just had a word with the big pharmaceutical company how we could scale this up on a much bigger level. And we set up a company called Cremation Inc. So literally the idea with that being, and it works very well, is was a tattoo studio. Why would you want, especially tattoo studios who actually really care about the clients and stuff like that and care about their name. So they'll get in the studio or the clients themselves, they'll order a bottle. We have to do a couple more things applicable to actually making a physical product that's got to have a lifespan and all the legal complications and stuff like that. We usually can turn it around in about 1 to 2 weeks. That all depends on the load on the lab. As we always say, every person's loved one is taken through individually. We're not going to cut corners. So if it just so happens we've got a lot of orders come in, then it takes 2 weeks before we can get your loved one back to you in the post again. We're very honest with the clients. And anything they send us, if they've sent us too many ashes or anything like that, we will always make a point of they literally get them sent back at exactly the same time. And then they can go into the local tattoo studio in America, places like that, and get their ashes tattooed on. And the tattooist, he's behind him because he knows for a fact us tattooists are very fiddly people. So they know the tattoo ink is made by a tattooist for tattooists. So they're not sitting there having the normal problems associated with kind of bad inks and stuff like that. If it's not top line, then there's no putting your name on it. But yeah, I do apologise, Ashley, to diverse. When it on about people coming over, I had a woman come over, I think it was either 2 or 3 weeks ago, flew in from Canada, got on a plane, all the way to see me. And I'm like humble. I'm like, it's just me. And she's, no, I want the best. And I have people come over from America, fly over from the States. And there's one thing I've got to give you lot. You just have massive tattoos. You don't mess around when you get on the, honestly, you get on the plane, you come over, I think you just get carried away and go, I'm going to have a massive one. And as a good example, the woman, it was for, she'd lost, I won't say the dog's name, but it was for a dog. She lost a dog and the dog had bit her on her arm. But she wanted a really big, beautiful thing all over her chest. And the I don't know what if you call it bizarrely, the dog had a very weird kink in its spine that she was very kind of not connected to, but relative to the connection she had. So she had this huge thing on her chest here. Let me see that side. And then we used the contouring of the dog's spine to run ivies all the way down her arm. I freehanded it all on, drew it all on, and got it all the way down to actually where the dog had bit her. And then, so we connected the whole thing. So she basically went home, got back on a plane with everything done, all round her arm and everything. It took me 2.5 hours to draw it on. But hey, why not? If you're going to get on a plane, go for it. And she went for it.
Let's talk about that because you shared with me before 2 things that I think are really interesting. One is that you're in the process of becoming a grief counselor, so that after doing this for 15 or 20 years, you spend obviously a lot of time with people who are grieving and you are helping them commemorate their loved one, whether it's a person or a pet, on their bodies. And so you're going through the specialized training now so that you can help them as much as possible. I think that's fascinating. I want to talk about that. And the other thing that you said is that sometimes you say to people, I'm not going to do that tattoo for you. Yeah. And I want to talk about that too. And I think it is definitely, to me, related to this grief and what you've learned about people's grief, and that you want to make sure that your clients are in the correct frame of mind to get this art on their bodies that is forever art, and that they will want it in the place and the size that they're requesting. So let's talk about both of those things.
Now, it is very rare to turn down a tattoo, but I do try and not get across to the clients. If the tattoo's going to take an hour, I don't book them in for an hour. We've got an hour-ish to do all the processing and stuff like that. So I don't book them in for 2 hours. I book them in for, well, depending on time. If they're having an hour's tattoo, I'll give them in total 4 hours. The reason being is you don't know what mindset people are going to come in. About a month ago, I had a gentleman come in, huge guy, monolithic guy, army, the big beard, them things on the, holds his gun like that and all that stuff. Proper bloke, a proper man, unit of a guy. And he had 2 ulcerations and they passed away. And what I did, I photocopied the paw prints and literally did exactly. I become the absolute master of perfecting paw prints. And I did the perfect, like I'd photocopied it on his skin. And he was fine. He was like, I had a bit of a talk to him, bit of a connection. And then the minute the tattoo was done, that was it. He just literally fell to absolute bits. And then you get talking to him about that, you know, where we're at. And I'm not going to go into kind of how you connect with the client because every client's different. The stages of grief are different. So the connection's got to be done in a very particular way. So at times, it's not just about the tattoo. It's about actually what the tattoo is for them. And it turned out he tried to kill himself on multiple occasions, and the actual dogs had been the ones to pull him out of it. Literally, apparently at one stage, one of the dogs literally grabbed hold of his leg and tried to drag him off the thingy while he was just in a really bad place. And he was here for 5 hours. We'd done the tattoo a long time ago, but it's not about that. It's not just about a tattoo. And for a lot of people, they'll go through something. Grief's really quick. And I don't mean the aspect of grief, how quick it comes on. Like that gentleman, it all went wrong within about a month. And then next thing you know, he's got no one. And especially with it, when a human passes away, they're still left on their own, if you get what I mean, because the funeral director, he just does what he needs to do, does the process, sits there. I'm not saying they don't listen in any shape or form, because I know really good funeral directors and know really bad ones. And basically, that's it, they're off. And they're just sat there staring at like a blank wall. If someone's in hospital, they've got a routine. They know their favourite little car park that they go in. They've got a routine. They'll go and park up in that bay, and then they'll go down. They'll go to the coffee machine. Then they're going to go see grandma. Grandma's. There's a connection to it all, and then it just stops. Literally, as in, here's your grandma's clothes, and it's ended. It's all done. Grandma's not coming home, and then the funeral director he does what he needs to do, but he doesn't. It sounds a really bad thing to say. He's not there to process the grief and what they're going through. So the next time the clients actually have an ability to sit there and talk about what's happened and everything like that is with me. And I'm just a tattooist. That's what I thought. But over the years, I've worked out the various stages that people are at, and that's where you need to connect them at. Because as I always try and get across them, which brings us back, relates to the question about tattoos. I had a woman come in, and she lost a dog. And she was really broken up. There was a lot of connection with the dog. The dog attacked her ex-partner because her ex-partner gave her a beating and stuff like that, which is obviously completely wrong. But the dog stuck up for her. She'd always had a really bad upbringing. And she really connected with the animal in the regards of it was her and the dog against the world. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, she literally, while I was there, she was telling me she's going to court for beating up the vet. So the dog was that big. The vet came out and had to put the dog down. And the minute the heartbeat stopped, she just lost it. Absolutely lost it. And yeah, but the tattoo she wanted, it just so connected to the dark depths of grief. It was really deep and really dark what she wanted. And I was trying to get across to her everything that's gone on, taking the dog as the example. You need the tattoo, so everyday positivity in life. The worst thing, it was huge. It was right across her chest. And it was like, what is that? And so I said to her, every single day, you're 30. Let's say you live till 70 for 40 years. Every single time you look in the mirror, you're going to be reminded of negativity. Now, I'm not here to change the world, but the reason you're getting this tattoo isn't for I know I haven't got him tattooed in because he wanted burying. And he did cut some toenails off and say, bung these in. That's my dad. But anyhow, he was a top bloke. This concept of you get over it, in my opinion, it just doesn't exist. You don't get over it. You just work. I always put like a mindset like this. Imagine like a sea anemone. And that's what grief is. It's in you forever. You've just got to work out, smooth the bits off, and just find out where it sits in you so it doesn't hurt as much. And the reason you're having that, like going back to the girl with the dog, the reason you're having the tattoo isn't to reminisce on the pain. It's because you spent 15 years. The dog stuck up for you. The dog was, as you said yourself, the dog was an amazing thing. You had a massive connection with your dog. That's something to celebrate. The worst is with animals, we know what we're signing up for. And unfortunately, even when they're a little puppy in your hand, you're really hoping you haven't got to make a painful decision. And you need to celebrate life, because at some stages you get through the processing of grief, you're going to start to smile about the really funny things. Like the stuff my dad got up to, it was just daft. And it still makes me smile to this day. But, and this is if I'm being quite honest, when this particular situation occurred, my dad had passed away about 4 years. And I was somewhere very bizarre that I'd never been before. And there was chili on the sideboard. Oh, get that from my dad. Oh, my dad loved that. Oh, no, my dad hasn't had that one. It's 4 years on. That connection's there. I'm connecting to what my dad was and what my dad loved and what my dad liked. And it literally wasn't till I went to the till and put them on the conveyor belt. I was just like, oh, my God. And so it's not about that. It's about enjoying the actual time you spent with the person rather than the negative aspects. So it's very rare that I'll turn around and actually talk someone out of a tattoo, or taking that girl as an example, just say, you're not in the right place. I'm not going to sit here and take your money just to take your money. I actually care what I do. And where we're at today and where you're at today, there's a place you never want to spend your life immortalizing. You need to celebrate. That's what keeps the love for somebody going. If your father passes away like mine has, we don't sit there and we don't want a big tattoo of some really negative thing, because I'm just going to connect to it every single day. So that's where I'm at with that kind of thing. I know I'm doing something right, if you get what I mean. And especially for me, where I grew up from, to actually be take pride in myself, as well as feeling very humble about it. So, yeah, I just thought, these people just get left. They fall into bits. Literally, I've seen it all. I could go through it all, and I've got time for anybody. No, but especially with the environment I've got now, it's very chilled, it's very relaxed. They can go out into the garden, it's Buddhas, bamboo and all this, and everything's very eclectically done just to calm your soul down, because they don't want the mayhem of life. And so I'll just sit there and just talk to them. And then they'll open up. And If they fall to bits, they fall to bits. I'm always there for a cuddle if they need one. I'm not there to be like some big mean tattooist and stuff like that. I'm there to talk to them, just see if I can help them anyway. So that when they leave, definitely not saying I'm a cure for anything. But what I'm trying to get across is, even if I've just taken that seeing enemy, if I've just smoothed a couple of the spiky bits off, I've achieved better than when they came in.
Yeah.
And then they leave and they know where they're going then. Because the weird thing with grief is everybody thinks it. No, I know this, and I don't mean it in a negative way. Everybody feels that it's no one else is experiencing it. And because it's so profound an experience, as I laughably always say, it's like the back door experience. So they left the front door in a coffin, but you're sitting there looking at the back door, thinking that they're just going to open the back door and go, hey, it was my dad probably would have done if he could have done. It's just too quick. They're just there and then they're gone. And if you've never experienced it before, it's such a shock. And it's not a shock. It's a very hard thing to explain. It's like a shock to your soul. So if we sit there and have, like I say, have a good waffle with them, and a gentleman turned up, older guy, he's about 70, this, that, and the other. This is a prime example. Really genuinely nice bloke. He met his wife in the factory. His wife had a pain in the side. Goes to the doctors. Oh, we need to do some tests. Next thing she had pancreatic cancer. So they went, you've got 2 years to live. So obviously you've got to start collecting everything together. Within 2 weeks you were dead. That was it, gone. And it still sticks in me to this day, because it was very profound what the bloke said, but he was just really being genuine. So I was talking to him about everything and about his partner and about why he loved her and all this kind of stuff. And he just went, I don't know how to turn the washing machine on. And you're like, what? And he went, I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to cook food. He said, I just don't know. And the bloke, understandably, just turned into liquid and just died on the spot. Internally, it broke. He just didn't know. The old family unit, his wife took care of everything. Once they'd done all the bits and bobs, she left the factory to raise the kids and this, that, and the other. So it ended up falling into that old classic relationship concept of the wife does all the bits and bobs at home and he goes off and earns the money and they come back and they go on holiday every year, and that's how the unit worked. But he literally didn't know. I'm not joking here, I ended taking him to my washing machine in my house. So that gives you supposedly the extremities of sometimes the connections you can make with people, because like I say again, you're just trying to hope that when they leave, they're just a slight step further up than they were before. And when I do my counselling, if it helps, I've sat there having these conversations with people for so many years, and there's so many levels of grief. But I'd like to point out, I'm not advertising my website in any shape or form, but if you're going through pain, go to my website, go to the front page, go right to the bottom, and there's a bit that says dealing with grief. I'm hoping that people, and I do get this, people relate to me and they say, I read everything you wrote and I can see where I'm at, and you can see why. And if it helps them a little bit, it helps them a little bit. Because it's not just about doing a tattoo. What I'm dealing with is people who have lost a loved one. It's as simple as that. And if you're not genuine, if you sit there just care about money, if I cared about money, Ashley, I'd be sticking the stuff at the bottom of the pot, wouldn't I?
Absolutely.
But I'm not charging or anything. It's about connecting as a human. It's about sitting there and actually, just helping them.
Life is a journey and grief is a journey. And
very much.
My father died of a rare cancer 11 years ago, and I think of him often, but I'll hear a song or I'll smell something, and he'll come back to me.
Now that's the positivity. That's what I'm on about.
Yeah. It's still sad because he's not here. but it's also happy because I remember all the wonderful things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll think about him and I'll be laughing or smiling, and sometimes I'll be crying, and it's all okay.
Yeah, actually, you've nailed it on the head. Take big army guy. He's pre-programmed that you can't show an emotion. You're in the army, you're massive, you look like you could rip a door off. But I said to him, mate, if you've got to let it out, just let it go. Because you've got X amount of tears in you that you're going to need to shed for a start. So you better start shedding them. And I know it's a daft way, but that's how you serve the connection with people. Like, you break down that kind of wall of you don't need to be a man. I don't care.
So with this woman who lost her dog, you refused to give her the tattoo. Did she end up getting to a better place, and did you eventually do a tattoo, and was it different?
No, she didn't. No, what's it called? I chased her up. I chased the family up because she came with the family, and she actually ended up going in having really bad mental issues, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah.
Which was understandable through the conversation I'd had. And maybe there's nothing clever about any of it, but maybe that goes to prove. I've never reflected on it until I'm speaking to you, Ashley, but maybe that goes to show that it was the right thing. Because if obviously the end result was she ended up having mental issues that were really affecting her life. So that's why I say it's not about kind of money at times. It's about doing the right thing, and that's so be it. So sometimes I will follow clients up.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the designs that people use for ashes tattoos. I know there's a massive range, but you did say there are certain things that people do, and you're very good at copying. So you've told me like somebody's signature on a credit card. You also shared a story about a mom whose child died, and you tattooed a drawing that the child had made, like exactly the drawing. So share a little bit about the designs and whether people come in, they already know, or you help them decide.
It literally horses for courses. So with animals, I did a hedgehog paw print. How mad was that? An hedgehog. Little diddy thing, little 4 of them off their arm. And apparently the hedgehog didn't like mum. And that was what she cared. I didn't know this. I'm sitting there talking to this woman. And the reason I go off on that tangent is because a lot of people get the prints done. So I will literally photo, as I always say, don't send it to me because I want exactly what you've got. Get a photocopy of it. Don't bring the original in. Touch wood, nothing's ever happened, but I wouldn't want that kind of thought that anything could happen. Let's be honest, it's a tattoo studio. There's liquids, this, that, and the other. So I always say, bring me a photocopy in. Bring me a couple. And then I'll sit there and then I'll do a perfect replica. If they don't email it over, if they email it over, once you've passed it through this software and this and that, blah, 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 you could change it slightly. And I never want them to go home and get the original and put it on their arm and go, it's just a different size. I want to do exactly what it is. So yeah, I do a lot of paw prints, nose prints, things like that. And going back to the human aspects, all sorts. If someone's got a favourite song, when they'll say, I don't really know what to do, I've got this song and blah, 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 my dad always said it and this, that, and the other. So I'll go, get all the paperwork together that you've got of your dad, usually birthday cards, Christmas cards, this, that, and the other, because laughably, people actually take a bit more time when you're doing a birthday card. But if they're doing a birthday card, they'll do all the bits of it. And then I'll photocopy all of them, photocopy everything, and then sit there and chop out. And it might sound like I'm being like really like anorak or really OCD about it. It's not. That's what they want. And I've got no issue in not giving it to them. So I'll cut every single word out and then I'll space it all out and do everything. And then I'll sit there with a big list and say, if you can have a look here, that's T, O, blah, blah, blah. And go all the way through and actually make the whole thing up. So it's all in that person's writing. So that when they look at it, it's not just the connection with the tattoo. It's not just the connection with their ashes. That's their hand. That's what they wrote.
Yeah.
So, as I always say, the more personalised you can make a tattoo, if you come in with a generic tattoo and that's what you want, that's what you'll get. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I don't like that, that's that. Because I don't know. I might look at a generic tattoo But to you, that could be like what your dad's got or your dad's had. As a good example, my dad, when he was 12, he had, that's my dad. When he was 12, he had tattoos done, and he passed away at 74. And I remember when he was lying in the bed and I took photographs of him, and they were like blurry and battered and all this kind of stuff. So I had a word in the industry, and they all chipped in. They did amazing. So one bloke actually tracked down the original tattoo designs, the paper that they were done on from the tattoo museum. Another bloke built the tattoo machines that they would have used at them times. Another bloke did the needles and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I had them tattooed on my feet. And it was incredibly painful. Are you doing it wrong? And he's like, this is what you went through when you were that age. And even more proud, my mentor did it for me. So what I'm trying to get across is, to anybody else, that was a very generic, bog standard tattoo. Yeah, nobody would go, oh, you can tell that's a memorial tattoo. No, it's an old school eagle, and it is what it is, which is why I say I don't sit there and go, oh, what we could do is, because that eagle means so much to me, and I get to look at him every day. Do you get what I mean? And I love every bit of it, every single bit of it. Out of all my tattoos, that's my favourite. My next one's my Google review. I tattooed a Google review on my leg. I got my mentor to tattoo it, and he was so miffed about it. And he was like, oh, do me a tattoo? Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll come down and you, what am I writing? Oh, don't worry about it, mate. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. I'll stick it on. So I went down and I got my leg out, and he read it and he went, I am not tattooing that on you. I'm like, mate, you got to see it. It's there on my leg. You got to get it done. So we did. But I'm trying to get across is, it was just writing. But some things, tattoos, all of them, what one person thinks is stupid can mean the world to somebody else. So on that basis, when I feel there's got no, negative's the wrong way of putting it, like a darker undertone. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I do slightly move you away, and I'll sit there and explain to him why. And for the most part, when I say it's rare, you're probably going to get about 10 people a year. But there's every likelihood that 8 of them, once you actually sit there, and because they're still in the shock mode, and they just, they want this, I've got to get a tattoo done. And you're like, yeah, but as we've already spoke about, you've got years to come. You're going to start celebrating this person. This person has such an embrace on your life.
So I think for people, if they're thinking about a design, the advice is take your time and think about it, and make it as personal to you and that person or that pet as possible. So if you have actually handwritten notes or cards, bring them to your tattoo artist. If it's an image or lyric from a song, it really could be anything. It just has to matter to you.
Yeah, correlating back to what I was saying about the foot tattoo. It'd be on a board of, God, about 30 tattoos. No one would even give it the time of day. But to me, that means the world to me, because I know what the connection is with it. So yeah, going back to tattoo designs, if you're going to have a memorial tattoo, let's put ashes aside. If you just want to sit there and have a tattoo that celebrates somebody's life, connect with it. Get it, because you know that person. You know everything about this person. And some of the things are put on people are so wild and so off. And then they'll sit there and they'll have a full story to it. And to them, every time they look at, that's what it is. And that's what it is. So yeah, just think about it. Try not to pick. I'm not saying there's anything wrong in it. If you've never had a tattoo before, get yourself a really good tattoo artist. So let's say if you come in my studio and you've never had a tattoo before, I won't push a tattoo on you. We'll go through all the process. We'll do everything that needs. I'll explain everything, do it all. And then I'll sit there and say to you, when you get on that bed, I will run the machine on you with no ink in it. That's it. If you turn around to me, Ashley, and go, Paul, not for me, I don't want that, I'm not there to force a tattoo on you. It's way past that kind of thing. And like I say, if you go, no, don't have it done. I've done it. Most people are very disappointed Not with the tattoo, with the pain. This is what I'm trying to correlate to, not to the tattoo or anything like that. So deflated, that was what I was after. So because they sat on the chair, and same as what I was saying with you, Ashley, if you came in, I don't want you to sit there for an hour absolutely petrified. I've seen it all. You'll go to the toilet about 6 times, backwards and forwards, and then you'll sit there and just rabbit on about just mad stuff. Oh, Tesco's have been there, blah, blah, all this stuff. You just make rambling stuff. I don't want you to sit there petrified, because I want you to sit there and be relaxed about it. I would like to point out, I've only ever had that 3 people. 3
Say
people.
they don't want to
You
do,
could be the 4th one, Ashley. If it being you, I would point and say, oh, Ashley can't take a tattoo. But that goes back to what I'm saying about finding the right tattoo artist. A right tattoo artist, doesn't matter where you are in the world, will give you that space, will give you that ability to breathe out. So it doesn't, they don't need to have ashes in. I'm there for that, and Cremation Ink's there for the rest of the world. If you're just having a memorial tattoo, just to actually connect, find a good artist, find someone who'll work with you, and it'll be another little step in getting kind of them little spikes off.
You did tell me that many clients who come in for an ashes tattoo, it is their first tattoo.
Yeah, very much. Anything from, I get, and I'm not trying to be ageist, I'm not that person. In England, I don't know whether you get them in America, you have what are called blue rinse grandmas. So they're like big mad, like perfect, like rock hard, and it's this mad blue colour. So they must go to a shop where the hairdresser goes, "Hey up, Doris, what is it, blue or pink today? Oh, pink, make it mad." And they'll come in, you know, these Dorises, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. People could, it seems not a rarity. There's a generation that got married for life.
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, belated tattoos. Oh, did he have one? Yeah, he had a little one on his hand. He had it done. But what did it? Oh, he had my name on him. So I want Bill, and I want it in his handwriting.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to move very slightly out of what's it called, out of the ashes tattoo remedies, I have regular clients from a care home. They literally come. They tell the care room, we're going Paul's for a tattoo. And they'll all come like a mob of these mad blue head people, and they'll all come in, and they're all talking rubbish, garbage, and I make the worst cup of tea possible. So if you come over here for a tattoo and you want tea, trust me, you're not going to get the proper English experience. They love it, absolutely love it. And why not? Because at some stage, we're all going to be that person. Going all the way back to the ashes tattoos. Celebrate life, don't celebrate death.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe that's, I was going to ask you, having worked so closely with people in grief and getting these ashes tattoos for so long, how it's changed the way you view and approach the world. But maybe it's that. Celebrate life, not death. At the end of every discussion, I ask the same 5 questions. But before I do that, is there anything I haven't asked you, anything you want to share about Bubblegum Ink, about ashes tattoos, about your life's work, anything at all?
I didn't initially know that grief come in so many layers. I just thought, I didn't know, actually, when I first walked into it, when it just explodes like a snowball. It just went massive. And then it's all coming in. And as a person, you're just like, right, they're going through that, and they're going through that. And this, and what I've worked out is grief isn't a thing that has a set layer. So I'd never sit down there to anybody and say, oh, you're going to be in the angry stage. And then after the angry stage, the next stage after this, that's going to last a week. And then after this, this is the next stage you're going to go through. You're going to go through depression. You're going to think everybody's rubbish and blah, 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 blah. You'll spend a lot of time bouncing the back. It's all just finding what doesn't hurt as much. That's the key. Like I said it before, it's not about getting over. You're not getting over anything. Do you get what I mean? The person you loved isn't there. You spent 70 odd years absolutely connecting. I can sit here reminisce 1,000 things I've done with my dad, rather than that connection we were on about before, about connecting to negativity. Because at times that's what people feel. With grief, they feel so lonely.
Yeah.
Even that sitting on a bed and that connection with a human. And that's what forget everything that's going on. That's what a proper good tattooist is. A proper good tattooist is someone who can connect and actually do the journey with them. Oh, shall I read you me Google review?
Yeah, do it.
And this is literally on my leg. It says, Paul is quite simply a talented artist, a consummate professional, and a wonderful human being. And that's a rare and magical combination.
As we explore in my brand, Âme Atendre, which is French for to take care of your soul, which is really fundamentally what we're talking about this whole time, objects can hold a lot of meaning for us. They can tie us to the past, enable us to enjoy the present, or even take us into the future. Can you share an object from your life, whether you still have it or not, that holds a lot of meaning for you, and tell us why?
We actually got brought up in Singapore. So my dad bought this big bureau thing, like with a big carved dragon on it and all this stuff. And he had like a brass salmon, like a fish salmon, very crudely made. I'm sure if I went on the likes of auction sites, there you go, how's that me being politically correct, I could probably buy one for about $5. But let's go back to it. And it used to sit on top of my dad's bureau. Every time my dad every time he used that bureau and shut that bureau, the salmon would fall off and go on the floor. And it'd be followed by a bag of swear words. I'm not going to tell you what they were, but I'm sure you can get the idea. So when my dad passed, my dad left me the bureau. And I said, no. I said, I want Mum to have it. I said, because it's still got that connection with Mum. And I want Mum still to sit there and connect with your dad. But I said, have you got the little, what's it called? Have you got the little, to Mum, have you got the little brass salmon? And she went, yeah, you're right. Give me this little brass salmon. And as I say, I'll never will, because that's my dad's one. But I could go and buy a replica, but it doesn't matter. It's not about what it is. It's about the connection and the story with it. The swear word in salmon is the best way I could probably call it. But yeah.
I think objects can become vessels for memories in the same way that the tattoos that you create are vessels for memories. It's very similar.
Yeah, very much.
Can you share a favorite tradition? It could be something that you did when you were a child, something you do today, anything at all.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and it's not meant to, because going back to what we're actually all talking about today. So yeah, it's going to see my dad in the woods. My dad, and I'd like to point out, in no way is this negative. My dad, I took my dad. He wanted burying in a wood. And there's only two places, there might be more now, but at the time there was only two places in the UK where you could get it done. And it was a proper big lump of trees wood, big massive thing, huge thing. And there's about 180 people buried there. And I took my dad while he was still with us. When I found it, I said, hey, I found somewhere, Dad. And we knew what was going on. Do you get what I mean? My dad was a very honest bloke. Nothing was hidden. And he was like, so anyhow, we walked him around. And he was like, Dad, come on, mate, you've been here for 3 hours. And he was walking around the same path. And he went, I've got to be here for a lot longer than 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, goes around. Anyhow, he finds this little spot. Oh, I could hear. Oh, I'm feeling the vibe here. The woman who actually run the place came over. And this is natural light. There was a path in front. And it's all set out. And he goes, can I have my grave sideways? And the woman went, of course you can, Steve. You can have whatever you want. And she went, why? And he went, because the sea's over there. I won't look at the sea. All right. So my dad's in this graveyard, sideways. And we buried him in there. When we came to bury him, I actually said to the woman, I don't want you to fill the hole in. I'll fill it in. Because my dad wasn't a religious person. So I didn't want all that stuff. And then just disconnect. I wanted the connect. If I was going to put my dad away, I'd fill it all in. So there's 4 of us. My siblings and my son. And then what we do every year is we let nature take its course. Every year the ceremony is we all go down, we all go fishing at Anglesey, because my dad loved fishing. And then I can sit there and tell my dad how many fish I haven't caught, or I have. And then carry on down, carry to where he's buried, sit there, get all the tools out, clean everything up, this, that and the other, and then sit there and have a waffle with my dad and just tell him what's happened for a year. And really, I don't know I just come back really fulfilled because there's just no negative emotion to it at all, in the slightest.
That's a lovely tradition. It was just, I was telling you, the 11-year anniversary of my dad's death, and we happened to be, and I used to live in California, and my almost all the family happened to be there. So we went to the graveside, and my niece, who's in college, started us all telling Grandpa what we're doing right now. It was lovely because it was a way we shared with each other what was happening in our lives right now, and for Grandpa, but also really for us. It was really lovely. So I love that tradition. Okay, you obviously have people in your house a lot making bad tea for them, but do you like to entertain in your home now, and why or why not? Other than having people come into your studio in your home and giving them tea. No, just the tea when they come in.
No, let's go back, Ashley, to when I told you about raving. Yeah, I was the party central. Me and the wife non-stop partied. Every single weekend we would have an house full of about 40 people, and it'd be absolute mayhem. We'd all come out of the rave, all go there. The neighbours understandably absolutely hated us. We had a fantastic time. So yeah, no, we've calmed it down a bit.
Okay.
The dog gets to see people anyway, so that's all I care about. The dog gets to see all the customers, and they love her, and she loves them, and I love everybody, so it's fantastic.
Amazing. Okay, do you have one or two top resources? They could be just a favorite book. It doesn't have to be about tattooing or ashes tattoos or anything, or a website or anything. We do have a lot of listeners who love to read or listen to podcasts, so if you just have any favorites, we always like to pass them along.
Yeah, I was in my counselling course, and I was saying I read a book, and I didn't read the book with the onus of actually implementing what it said. I actually read the book to actually, how could I put it, get like a side view on humanity. Mm-hmm. And it's a book by Robert Greene, and it's called Power. And it's what's it called? It turned up in an advert, not an advert, like a thing on Netflix about some bloke owned some jeans company, and every person who went there, he gave this book to. And the onus on the book is, this is how you manipulate people, or this is how you do that, and this is how, and people won't see you doing it if you're doing it this way and stuff like that. And I didn't want to read it because I wanted to manipulate people in any shape or form. I think you've already worked out with this conversation we're having, Ashley. I'm a very open bloke, but its mechanism that it explains in the book is used by social media, big, massive online companies, all sorts of stuff. So I'm not recommending, unless you're a megalomaniac, like, I'm not recommending like you go out and buy the book. What I'm trying to get across is actually inform yourself of how things are implemented that you think are natural and they're not. Yeah. So I'm not trying to be all like, ooh, fishy, like dead clever and stuff like that. I'm just saying don't read that particular book, as I say, called Power by Robert Greene. I'm not sure, as I say, different ways of reading it, but it's because it's the kind of thing you don't just read and put down. It's the kind of thing that sticks with you. So through your life, you get to realize just mechanisms that not just, people can use on you. People get in these wrapped up relationships, and they're really toxic and really bad.
Okay, great.
Hopefully that's going to help somebody.
Last question. What do you do for yourself? Do you have a practice, a focus, a habit, or daily routine that contributes to your success or your well-being?
So my dogs are buried. My other two dogs that passed away, I've had dogs with me all my life, and their graves have got like a gold leaf Buddha on and a big gold leaf gnome, and next to them's an even massive big gold leaf Buddha's head. And I think in the world we live in, we have so many distractions and stuff like that. It's very rare we have an opportunity to just go, woof, that's all that counts. And so whatever it might be, you're going to laugh at this. You're going to love this, Ashley. I actually bought a full-sized skeleton, big, massive, like medical skeleton thing, a big 6-foot thing, big stand in it. He's so gold. Honestly, every bit of him's gold. My wife's like, there's body bits everywhere. I'm like, well, nobody's going to have it, and don't be copying me, any of your listeners listening. I'm the only person with the gold leaf skeleton. But I have a 6-foot gold leaf skeleton. But yeah, it's cool. Next to me. He's next to me while I watch the telly. My dad's salmon's on the top. So win-win.
So do you do the gold leafing every day?
And I'll just pick something and that's having it. So
Okay.
It's going to be gold flake leaf stuff. It'll be everywhere. But I don't care. Love it. Why not? Enjoy life, and that's what it's all about.
I love it. I have to say, no one has ever told me that gold leafing was their mental well-being habit. It's the best one I've ever heard. I love it so much. Paul, it's been such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I love what you're doing. If I do ever get a tattoo, I will come to you. And I'm not sure if I will.
Don't tell anyone. You can have yours for free.
Oh. Perfect. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
On the Table with Ashley is presented by Âme Atendre, an elevated, everyday, luxury home and tableware brand with products designed to cultivate connection. You can learn more about Âme Atendre at ameatendre.com or on Instagram at Âme Atendre. By subscribing to our newsletter on the Âme Atendre website, you'll receive updates on new episodes as well as promotions relating to Âme Atendre and Âme Atendre's products. Send us an email at reachoutanytime@ameatendre.com if you have ideas for guests or series ideas you'd like to pass along. Thanks for listening.